In 1988, I came to the Church of God Theological Seminary as a Master of Divinity student, and one of the most helpful courses I took was Pentecostal leadership taught by Dr. Grant McClung. In that class, Dr. McClung introduced us to the material of Robert Clinton, Dr. Robert Clinton out of Fuller Theological Seminary in California. One of the concepts in Dr. Clinton's material was illustrated with a railroad track. Railroad track consisting of two parallel rails and cross ties leading to a destination. And that destination is spiritual formation. Spiritual formation. And we know that spiritual formation in religious education is the objective. It's the destination in all that we're doing. These two rails and the cross ties represent three very important components in a formational experience. One rail we're going to label cognitive input. This represents the information side of education and learning. This is probably the aspect of education that has had the greatest attention throughout the years. For us, this rail of cognitive input represents input or head knowledge, if you will, that the student has had in the past prior to coming into the learning experience. It represents that input that they will gain within the learning environment that they're currently in. And it also represents knowledge that they still need to receive. So there's a past, present, and future aspect of knowledge there that is represented by this rail. The other rail that's parallel to it is the rail of experience. Now I think of it as experiences in the plural. Here again there's a past, present, and future aspect to experience. Student comes into a learning experience, a learning environment rather, with some experiences from the past that have taught them something. They come into the learning environment needing some experiences presently as part of the educational process. And they come into that learning environment and anticipating experiences that they will have. There's an anticipation of experiences future. And so all of that is part of what the student is bringing with them. Okay, but the breakdown a lot of times in education is the failure to bring the two together. The head knowledge side of education and the experiential side of it. How do you tie it together? The way that we're suggesting that it's tied together is through something we call dynamic reflection. Dynamic reflection is when we reflect upon how the cognitive input relates to experience and how experience relates to the cognitive input. In other words, I'm reading a book, I ask myself the question, how does this relate to my life? Or I'm going through an experience in life and say, how does this relate to what I've been studying? So you see, there is a need for tying the two together. Now what we need to do in any kind of a training environment, whether it be small group ministry, classroom, or wherever, is to help one another or help students make that connection between the information or cognitive input side of things and the experiential side of things. So we can. It's important to think of these components whenever resourcing a group process. We need to bring into a training environment those things that are needed on the cognitive side, yes, information, lectures, reading materials, things of that nature. But also we need to bring in experiences, projects, group activities, whatever, things of that nature. And we also need to bring in those planned opportunities for reflection. Sometimes that could be planned through writing papers, writing reflection papers, through group discussion, through prayer, through journaling, a number of ways that dynamic reflection can be facilitated. So whenever you're working to put together a training program or process, think in terms of resourcing in all three of these main areas. And let's look at it again. We're illustrating it with a railroad track. One rail is cognitive input, the other rail is experience, And then we want to plan multiple opportunities for dynamic reflection, hopefully leading to spiritual formation.